Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you today with Batman Last Night on Earth, Book 1. And this was a really good series. Leaps and bounds better than Dark Knight's death metal. From what I understand is when Scott Snyder was originally doing his Batman series, he wasn't allowed to finish it, so he kind of did this as sort of a Elseworlds and a way to kind of wrap up his story. But as we can see, he's made a million of stories since then. But this was one that I'm glad came out. And one thing I do want to stress is this book, about the size of a collected trade. It is $6, Black Label Prestige. And for $6, we get a nice, thick book. This was what I was talking about when I get irritated with like Future State, where you pay $7 for a half of a main story. That is ridiculous. So for $6 for this size of a book, I am down like the clown. Get it, clown? That's the joke. So anyway, the print date on this was July 2019, so let's dive into it. And before we dive into it, let's talk about who made this. This is Scott Snyder writing, Greg Capullo pencils, Jonathan Glapion inks, FCO Plascencia doing the coloring, Tom Napolitano doing the lettering, everyone else working on the book, and Batman was created by Bill Finger with Bob Kane. Now this is kind of like a novel in a sense. It has chapters, so this is part 1, The Cave. And we open up on what feels just like a regular Batman story. We have a narrator kind of saying, "We've had many adventures together, Batman and I. I've been at his side practically his whole life." And so Bruce is going through Gotham, and he finds that this has been a year-long case. And in every corner of Gotham, there's been like a little 5-inch chalk mark. When put together, shows him dead. And then where his heartbeat would be is Crime Alley. So when he goes to the site, he finds a little kid with an umbrella. He pulls it back, and we get this harrowing imagery of a decomposing body. You're just like, whoa, what's going to be going on here? But before we can go any further, I don't want to spoil what happens here. There's a very dramatic moment that you're just going to have to read the book. Bruce's eyes snap open. And I like this use of like the fly kind of, zzz, waking him up. And he's like, where? And he's like, what's going on? And you see that he's in a hospital. And we see Bruce Wayne, my lord, you're right here and it's finally over. So we see a man with a very crazy face and a purple flowered lapel. They're saying that Bruce Wayne has been sick for almost 20 years. This is the first time he's actually woken up and is lucid. And that Batman is a lie. Spoiler alert here. Alfred comes in and Bruce is like, "Alfred, what have they done to me?" And he's like, "I'm so sorry, Bruce. I thought you'd understand this much. What did I do? Why am I in this institution?" "Well, when you killed your parents in that alley." And I like how they use the fly to kind of juxtapose Bruce's anger. And it's weird. You're just kind of like, wait a minute, what's going on here? The doctor says all these orderlies just want to care for you and have taken care of you. So we see like Harley, Two-Face. I think this is supposed to be Bane. And then, of course, the doctor that we see at the purple lapel, his name is Redmond Hood. Get it? Red Hood. So you're like, what is happening? They put him back in his cell, and he's trying to dig out. But when he digs a hole, he finds a plastic dinosaur and a penny. So you're like, wait, what? What? Is this true? Is Bruce Wayne actually insane? And so Alfred's saying, "Please get better." And so Alfred's like, "I'm going to show you something. I don't know if this is going to be detrimental or not, but here's your cowl." And so this is Batman. And he's like, "The W," and he's saying that the Wayne Foundation has bought Arkham Asylum, so that's why it's a W instead of an A. And yeah, Alfred's trying to show that everything that Batman thinks he knows is a fantasy. But Bruce says, "Give me back my cowl," and he begins to break out of Arkham Asylum. And I like how he adds pieces of his uniform as he's going through the decks trying to escape until he's a full-on Batman with a utility belt, a billy club, and he adds the little sharp points on his gloves, just like how Batman would. But here's where you start to kind of wonder where the lines of reality and fantasy blur. I don't want to give that away, but I will admit that it goes from like what's going on to a very somber, tender moment with Bruce and Alfred. And it makes you tear up a little bit. So please read this book, because this moment here is very heartfelt and very sincere and very shows the heart of Alfred and Bruce. And with that said, we get into him like as a rebirth coming out of the ground. And we see Joker in a jar. We're like, what in the heck is happening here? Even Joker can't remember. And so he's like, please take me with you. I've been hanging, he just starts making puns about that, for so long. So he's just like, yes, look at us, just like old times, Batman and Noggin. Am I right? Now, I know in a lot of books I've said LOL random humor gets old, but it works in this sense, because you'd think that the Joker being out in the desert for almost 20 plus years, he'd go a little more insane with the solitude. And then we start seeing hints, like we see this thunderstorm, this and Joker's like, Speed Force storms. And you're like, wait, what? Speed Force storms? What's going on here? What's wrong here? Why is the Legion of Doom in flames? Why is the world just all sand? Why do we see Mogo, the living planet of the Green Lanterns, faded and dead? Why are we seeing evil baby constructs? Because Bruce makes his way to Emerald City. Oh God, Coast City. I was like, where's Green Lantern from? But yeah, having a child now, these are even creepier. But yeah, you start reading this stuff, and you want to know more about it. Scott Snyder just gives you enough to tease you about what's kind of going on, and you're still wondering: is this reality? Is this fantasy? And with that, we come across the new Amazons. I cannot remember her name. I don't think it's Tigra. Let me know down in the comments. But then we see Huntress, Ivy, and Kara, Supergirl. And then we see Wonder Woman donning Dr. Fate's helmet, and she's saying magic is dead. What? Wonder Woman has a plan. And I don't want to give away too much, because I want you guys to read this. I don't want to give away the plot. It does involve Lex Luthor and talking about how he makes a case that goodness is dead. But I like how the main cover, I know there's a variant, but I like the main cover that we're looking at here because it echoes the end, where there's one last adventure. And we see the Dark Knight set across the wasteland with Joker in hand. Now, I know I kind of flew through this, but that's because this story is so good. I want you all to read this in its entirety. The Last Night on Earth is a very strong story. Yeah, there's moments that it has its flaws, but I really do feel like Snyder and Capullo took their time. The artwork is on point. It harkens back to the New 52 run that Snyder did with Capullo, and it feels like it echoes it. I'm very happy that I was able to get these as they came out. It was such an awesome read, and that's why I was so disappointed that Dark Knight's death metal was such a drag. I know we're still going through it in terms of reviews, but 3 of these compared to 7 issues of death metal, this is definitely the winner. So please let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this comic book, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and pick up a copy. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate it if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little noggin bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with y'all and hearing your feedback down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.